Hey y'all, Jake here. My ESA, PSA. The bipartisan passage of the Endangered Species Act in 1973 established a strong foundation for promoting the protection of America's natural heritage. The act employed powerful yet sensible procedures and mechanisms to achieve its stated goals of preventing extinctions and nurturing recoveries. In the decades since its inception, the act has repeatedly been outgrown by our scientific understanding of natural systems, but has responded in kind through the amendment process to help bolster and maintain its effectiveness. The Act's great successes in extinction prevention are plentiful, but it has received much scrutiny for its rate/record of recovery. 20 years of federal and state action was strongly contested through the 1990s. Many critics pointed to meager reports of recovery successes and a notion that political pressures on the agencies charged with administering the list were bogging down the system. A 1991 article written by David Rolfe defined 6 biologic reasons why the Act does not work, yet these 6 points are directly affected by earlier administrative failures of the Act. Critics argued that the administration of the Act was too focused on higher life species, lacked adequate record keeping, disregarded the importance of critical habitat and overall biodiversity, and had become corrupted by economical, political, and other issues. Many of these criticisms had credence, and some still do. The fact that only a small portion of listed animals have made marked recoveries is more accurately described in the nature of their decline as opposed to a failed system. Brown pelicans, which I had hoped we might see out here, American alligators, and grizzly bears have all seen impressive recoveries, but the nature of their threats were easily corrected, and their recoveries still took decades. Most other species have broader threat issues and will require more time to recover, in addition to adopting adaptive management strategies. A recent study by Taylor et al. Reinforced the need for patience, reporting that the longer an animal or plant species is protected under the U.S. Endangered Species Act, the more likely it is to recover. Concerns of economical and political interference were silenced through the 1982 amendments, requiring determinations of the status of species were required to be made solely on the basis of biological and trade information, without consideration of possible economic or other effects. Furthermore, record keeping and public discussion were more adequately mandated in the 1988 amendments. Several amendments dealt with recovery matters. 1. Recovery plans were required to undergo public notice and comment, and affected federal agencies were required to give consideration to these comments. 2. A new subsection 4G required 5 years of monitoring recovered species, and 3. Biennial reports were required on the development and implementation of recovery plans and on the status of all species with plans. That's directly from the U.S. Federal Fish and Wildlife Service. As our understanding of natural systems grows, the implementation of the law is adjusted to work in concert with science and technology. The advent of conservation biology has contributed impressive gains in the knowledge base of ecosystem function and helped to inform lawmakers of the importance of critical habitat. The delicate network of species relationships in habitats were discounted under the Reagan administration as a redundancy, and as a result, critical habitat designations came to a halt. Sorry, I got something on my hat. However, at the turn of the century, science had opened the eyes of the courts, which have repeatedly struck down the 1986 regulations, resulting in over 350 new critical habitat designations, as reported by Mott in 2005. Protecting habitats for listed species invariably protects a greater array of biodiversity and, in effect, expediting listed species recovery. Today, the administering agencies are driven by professionals with a passion to protect biodiversity at all levels, armed with better science to effect positive change, and backed by a legislation to assure them success. The Endangered Species Act, like most legislation, is an imperfect product, but it is a necessary, evolving, and effective protection for our nation's natural heritage. Like all laws, the ESA is subject to change. Political influence from both direct and indirect channels, as evidenced in the recent repeated judicial overturning of decades-old policy on critical habitat designation, can and will affect the future of the Endangered Species Act. The truth is, there's no silver bullet to affect immediate gains. We need to challenge our commitment to solving the problem, make corrections to the Act when necessary, and exercise patience and trust in the methodology. Thank you.